So, tonight we have The Little Prince, the beginning of a book reading. This was recommended that I be reading this by a friend, and it's written by, let me scroll up here, we've got this, I believe it's Antoine de Saint, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'll leave the link for the description. We've got, let's go ahead and start with, we're gonna do the dedication and the first chapter and the beginning here. Alright. So, dedication. To Leon Worth, I believe. I apologize to children for having dedicated this book to a grown-up. I have a serious excuse. That grown-up is the best friend I've had in the world. I have another excuse. That grown-up can understand everything, even children's books. A third excuse I have? This grown-up lives in France, where he is hungry and cold. He needs to be comforted. If all those excuses are not enough, I'd like to dedicate this book to the children that... Hold on. I'd like to dedicate this book to the children that grown-up once was once. All grown-ups were children once, but few of them remember. Thus, I correct my dedication to Leon Worth when he was a little boy. Chapter 1. When I was 6 years old, I saw, once, a splendid picture in a book about the virgin forest called Stories of Life. It represented a boa snake that swallowed a wild cat. This is the copy of the drawing below, with a nice little spiraled yellow snake eating a great mouse. The book said, boa snakes swallow their prey whole, without chewing it. When they can no longer move, and they sleep during 6 months of their digestion. Then, I thought a lot about what the adventures in forest, and, my turn, I managed, with a colored pencil, to make my first drawing. I remember my drawing, my drawing number 1, and it was just a small little lump. I showed my masterpiece to the grown-ups and asked them if my drawing frightened them. Why would anybody be frightened by that, they answered. My drawing did not represent... Oh, why would anybody be frightened by a hat? My drawing did not represent a hat. It represented a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. Then, I drew the inside of the boa snake so that the grown-ups could understand. They always needed explanations. My drawing number 2, represented below, was like this. It's just a thin black outline with an actually pretty well drawn elephant in the center. The grown-ups advised me to put aside the drawings of open or closed boa snakes, and to become rather interested in geography, history, calculation, and grammar. And that is how I gave up, at the age of 6, a magnificent career as a painter. I had been discouraged by the failure of my drawing number 1 and my drawing number 2. The grown-ups never understood anything themselves, and, for children, it was always tiresome having to give them explanations. So I had to choose another profession, and I learned how to pilot airplanes. I flew around the world, and geography, that's right, helped me a lot. I recognized at the first glance China and Arizona. This was useful if you're lost at night. So, in my lifetime, a lot of contacts with a lot of serious people. I've lived a lot at the house of grown-ups. I saw them very closely. It was not improved. It has not improved my opinion very much. When I met one who seemed a bit lucid, I experienced it on my drawing number one that I always kept. I wanted to know if he really understood, but the person always answered, "It's a hat." Then I did not talk to the person about boa snakes, neither virgin forests nor stars. I put myself on the same level. I talked about bridge, golf, politics, neckties, and the grown-up was glad to know another rational man. Chapter 2. Thus I lived alone, without anyone to talk to. Indeed, until a crash in the Sahara Desert 6 years ago. Something had broken in my engine, and as I had neither a mechanic nor passengers with me, I prepared to try to do by myself a difficult repair. For me, it was a matter of life or death. I had scarce water to drink for 8 days. The first night I went to sleep on the sands, 1,000 miles far from any inhabited island. I was much more isolated than a shipwreck on a raft in the middle of the ocean, so you can imagine my surprise at the sunrise when a funny little voice woke me up. "Please, draw a sheep for me." "What?" "Draw a sheep for me." I jumped on my feet as if I had been struck by lightning. I rubbed my eyes. I looked attentively, and I saw quite an extraordinary little fellow who looked at me seriously. This is the best portrait that later I managed to make of him. But my drawing, of course, is much less charming than the model, and it's not my fault. I had been discouraged from my career as a painter, as you remember, by the grown-ups at the age of 6, and I did not learn how to draw except closed boa snakes and open boa snakes. I looked at that apparition with wide eyes and astonished. I did not forget that I was 1,000 miles from any inhabited region. My little fellow did not seem lost, neither dead tired nor hungry, thirsty or scared to death. He did not have the appearance of a lost child in the middle of the desert, thousands of miles far from any inhabited region at all. When I was finally able to speak, I told him, "But what are you doing here?" Then he softly replied very slowly, as if it was a very serious thing, "Please, draw a sheep for me." When a mystery is too impressive, we do not dare to disobey. As absurd as that seemed to me, 1,000 miles far from the inhabited places in danger of death, I took out my pocket a piece of paper and a stylograph, but I remember that I had studied geography, history, calculation, and grammar. And I told the little fellow, with a bit of a bad mood, that I did not know how to draw. He said, "It doesn't matter, draw a sheep for me." As I have never drawn a sheep, I made one of the only 2 drawings that I was able. That of the closed boa snake. And I was stunned to hear the little fellow answer me, "No, no! I do not want an elephant in a boa snake. A boa snake is very dangerous. And an elephant is very cumbersome. At home, everything is tiny. I need a sheep. Draw a sheep for me." So I drew it. He looked carefully. No, this one is very sick. Make me another. So I draw. Uh, my, my friend very kindly, with indulgence, said, "See, it's not a sheep, it's a ram. It has horns." So I remade my drawing again. But it was refused, as the previous ones. This one is too old. I want a sheep that lives long. Then, with no patience, I was eager to start disassembling my engine. I scribbled this drawing here, and I threw, "This is the box. The sheep you want is inside of it." But I was very surprised to see my young judge's face light up. "That's quite like what I wanted. Do you think the sheep will need lots of grass?" "Why? Because everything is at home is very tiny." "That is probably enough. I gave you a little sheep." He tilted he tilted his head to the drawing. "Not so little. Hey, it fell asleep." And that's how I met the little prince. And that's where we're gonna stop here. I know it's short, but it's just the beginning for me. So we're gonna take a break here at the beginning of chapter 3, and we'll carry on from here. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know if you want more. See you guys later.